Hi everybody, it's Marcus Collins
and Danny Fleming of MA Properties Real Estate. We are here tonight to go over what the five pillars to maximize your sales price are. And we'll also talk a little bit about the current real estate market and predictions, but really, how do you maximize your sales price? Because that's the key thing that you should be focused on. If you're thinking about selling, whether you're thinking about selling in the next couple of months or in 5 years' time, it's all the same.
Should we get going?
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
So smart moves are made here. Why do we do this? We do this because buying and selling a home, it's too important to leave to chance, and it's too important to let every decision be guided by emotions and first impressions alone. So what do we mean by that? Well, in our agenda, we're going to talk about smart decisions. These are our 5 pillars. Smart decisions, preparation, staging, marketing, and excellence through teamwork. So what do we mean by those 5 pillars? Well, stay tuned and we'll go into detail about what we mean.
Okay.
And Marcus is doing the first one, so I'm going to try and be quiet.
No.
I've got to try and be quiet. I'm not guaranteeing it, but on to you.
Okay, on to me. I'll start talking, otherwise Danny will talk over me. Smart decisions. Relatively easy to get access to a lot of information today, huge amounts of it really, but it's much harder to make sense of it, to actually see what's going on within the market and the analysis. And that's where we come in. I mean, as any of you will know, we really do look at the market within all the surrounding towns very, very closely to see what's going on with the market today, what's happened previously, because that kind of gives us an inkling in terms of what should happen in the future. So, characteristics of the local market. We're not going to go into too much detail because you may have missed it, but last night I gave an in-depth update of what's happening in both the Lexington and Arlington markets. Those are the closest markets to us. So I gave those last night. They're up on YouTube. I'm going to package them up, put them into a blog post, hopefully tomorrow. So you'll be able to we'll kind of send those out as well. So there's a lot going on. And as we now move further and further into 2021, so we kind of use what happened in 2020, but now leverage that in terms of what's happening in today's market. So that's key. Many of you may have seen the Lexington market update. We delivered that to houses in Lexington in January. We did an identical one really, covered different topics of course, for Arlington as well. So that's out there on our website. If you'd like an in-depth copy, focus really on what's happened in 2020, please let us know.
And if you've got any interest in any other town around the area, we have about 50 odd towns where we've got this data. Because we have a data warehouse, we can do a live stream telling you all about the town you're interested in. So you just got to let us know.
Yep, because we have it all.
Yeah.
What I just want to give you a quick update, a quick overview, if you like, in terms of what's happening in 2020, focused on a couple of key things. First one is sales. So we started last year to track cumulative sales. So every week we look at how many homes went under agreement actually. Looking at how that changed between 2019, the last stable year, if you like, and in last year, 2020. Now we're looking at 2019 versus 2021, just to get a sense of, take out the anomaly that was, in fact, about 12 months ago now. The market picked up in early May. So, 12 months and a month ago, we were just kind of pulling out of the major impact of COVID. So quite recent. Looking to see whether 2021 is going to go back to business as usual, if you like, in terms of 2019. So the graph you see here, I've got my, by the way.
Oh, your flashy thing.
Right. I got my flashy thing, right?
Boys and their toys.
Exactly. But blue is 2019. The pink color, orange color, is 2021. So what you can see there is that the cumulative sales in 2021 are outstripping what we saw in 2019.
And this is important because all across the country you're hearing that there's just no inventory for sale, and there's so much activity in the market. Yes, there's no inventory for sale, but that's not saying that we've not got more homes on the coming on the market. You probably explain this better than I do, but
Let me explain.
Oh,
so there's a difference between inventory and supply.
Yes.
When people say there's a low inventory, the implication of that, the conclusion that most people draw is that there are no homes came on the market. Therefore, there's no inventory. There is very low inventory at the moment, but the reason for that is not because of a lack of supply. This graph here.
That's what I was trying to say.
I know you were trying to say. I'm saying it better. What this shows is that we've seen more supply and more homes selling in 2021 versus 2019. So what we're seeing in the market today, and the characteristic of the market today, is that there are a large number of buyers out. There are also a large number of sellers out taking advantage of rising prices. If you listened last night, you would have heard all about that. And we're seeing, give or take, about a 15, perhaps even a 17% rise in prices 2021 in comparison to what we saw in 2020. So big rise. That's pulling more sellers into the market, of course. But it seems like no matter how many sellers come into the market, the number of buyers outstrips them. And so the low inventory you're seeing is not because of low supply. In fact, supply is higher than 2019. But what it is that those homes are selling really, really quickly. And we have examples of that weekend after weekend.
And that's the same when you look at 2020 data as well. But because there was a glitch there, we figured it would be better to go back to 2019, where it was a stable sort of supply market. But it's dramatically, what's happening across the country, I think, is that a lot of, not just buyers or sellers, a lot of people are rethinking what's important in their lives and where they live. You know, do they want to live somewhere warmer? Do they want to live near family? We had our youngest son and his fiance move back here because they wanted to be close to family. It just sort of started changing things for them. And that's what we're seeing across the country. So it's not as if it's a bubble, because you often hear the pundits talking, is it a bubble or not? It's a change in the values that people have about where they live and how they live. So this is a fundamental change. It's going to continue until people have finished moving. I believe, anyway.
You should listen to my talk last night.
Oh, what did you say? What did you say?
You missed it. I had all the data for that. You were right.
I was right. See, I was right.
So.
He's my husband. I'm always right.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot more supply. Tell me about it. There a lot more supply, even more demand, and that's what's driving inventory levels down. That's kind of what's happening. So if we kind of summarize what we saw in 2020, but also then, how does it kind of play out in 2021? What we saw in 2020 was a large number of sellers coming into the market, primarily because of the pandemic, as Danny just outlined. They're trying to change in the way they were thinking in terms of their housing requirements, if you like. That's continued into 2021. A huge number of buyers in the market. Last year, we had about 25% more sales in 2020 than we saw in 2019.
Specify in the town that you're talking about. You're talking about Lexington.
This was about Lexington.
25%.
Right. Arlington is a different story in that there's so much headroom in Arlington. There just aren't enough sellers in the market. That's why that sell price to list price ratio, for example, is driven so high. So in Lexington here, we had a lot more sellers coming into the market, but the buyers outstripped them. In Arlington, for example, the same number of sellers in the market, but again, there are so many buyers that's pushing the house prices up. So 2020, softening sellers market that we saw end of 2019, very much into a seller's market as 2020 progressed. What we've seen this year is that shift now from a seller's market into a very strong seller's market. That's for sure. Positive price appreciation, as I say, anywhere 10, 15%. We'll get a little bit more accuracy on that with a little bit more data, actually. More accuracy with a little bit more data. I want one more month. And once I can get to June, that's enough, I think, to start drawing some trends. And then I'll be able to put some projections in terms of how many home sales, for example, we anticipate 2021 having. So I need a little bit more, one more month with the data to be able to put a lot more specificity to that.
And you like specificity.
I do. I like specificity.
He doesn't like talking out of the top of his head.
Right. So, big picture. Clearly, there's a lot going on. Global pandemic. Hard to see where the recession is going. Is there one? Are we pulling out of it as strong as we anticipated? It seems that every week we get a good piece of news and then a bad piece of news. Clearly we have a new administration that's changing people's thinkings. The vaccinations have really got us, I said, back to normal. I was in a hardware store today. I think I was the only person in there with a mask on. So we're clearly getting back to normal very quickly. And overall, the housing market, not just in Lexington, but in other towns too, fared very well in 2020. And that's playing out as well into 2021. All the housing markets are faring very, very well.
And I made a mistake. I had this presentation last time for Lexington specifically. I left Lexington in there, so I'm sorry about that. The overall housing market across Boston, the Boston boroughs, even further out in some of these more rural towns out beyond 495, there's huge amounts of activity out there.
Very much so. Back to that change in requirements for the buyers and sellers for that. I'm looking, I want to change where I want to live. What house I am. So, quick overview. There's a lot more detail in what I talked about last night, depending on which town you're interested in. So, I'd recommend you to check out what we said last night, which goes into a lot more detail about the housing market. So, back to kind of smart decisions. And one question that we inevitably get, of course, is my house a teardown, even in this market? It's interesting to kind of analyze when that is the case. And it's the case where land value is greater than what a buyer will pay for it. That's kind of the true definition, if you like, of a teardown. Happens very infrequently, as it turns out. But that's kind of the definition. But it's important to understand who's actually telling you it's a teardown. Remembering that what we just said, that we are in a very, very strong seller's market. Who's telling you that your home is a teardown? Because it's highly likely that it's not. First of all, of course, when a single builder comes into your house and tells you they'll pay top dollar for the house, unsurprisingly, it's pretty transparent that, why would they say anything else? And why would they pay any more if there's no competition? So it's pretty transparent when a builder comes in and says, I think your home is a teardown and I think it's worth X.
And I'll pay you top dollar.
And I'll pay you top dollar, which is not the case. We have examples of this. It goes on and on. It's interesting to actually think as well that when an agent tells you these things, because if an agent comes in and says, I think your home is a teardown, hold on a minute, who does that agent actually work for? Because what often happens, if more often than not happens, is the agent will say, I think your home is a teardown. Let me introduce you to a builder that I know. You work out with the builder how much you pay for it. I think this is the best thing for you to do. What's happening behind the scenes there, of course, is that the agent and the builder have an agreement that says, you, the builder, buy the home, let's say it's priced at $700,000, $500,000. I, the agent, will forego the commission on that, but I will get the commission on the new construction home. New construction, in Lexington, the average is probably running at about $2 million. In Arlington, it's about 1.7. So clearly there's a big price difference between the teardown, if you will, and the new construction. And so in that case, be cautious, because the agent isn't necessarily working in your best interests. They may well be working in the best interests of themselves and the builder. So a little bit of a caveat emptor on that one, about who's telling you that the home is a teardown. Let me give you...
That was pretty direct, wasn't it? No, that was... Yep, keep going.
Would you like me to
no,
sugarcoat it?
No, you shouldn't sugarcoat it, no.
Yeah.
You've just got to be careful where you're getting the information from.
Absolutely.
Your home's
Absolutely.
a teardown. Because most people's home is the most expensive asset that they own. And you need to be able to get the highest price for your home. And
Absolutely.
That's important.
Let me give you a couple of examples here of teardowns, if you will, that actually worked. So in the first example you see here, the maximum price a builder would offer for this home was about $770,000. So fairly substantial price, but that's the maximum the builder would offer for that home.
And I think the seller on this one approached a number of builders himself. I think he probably got about a dozen builders, and that was the highest price. So it's not just one builder was willing to offer.
That was multiple builders,
That was
right?
multiple builders, yeah.
So we came in, said, we don't think it's a tear down. Really, you know, with some smartening up to do on the home. There's more money for you, the seller, if you actually put the home on the open market, smartened up sufficiently that today's buyers will find it inviting. So in the end, we spend about $20,000 smartening up the home, listed for $839. Okay, so you're already listing it for much higher than what the builders were willing to pay. But the results were 7 offers with a sale price of $900,000. So a net increase of about $110,000. So substantial difference between the so-called teardown price and actually what will happen in reality.
And you can see, but if you
Sorry.
go back to that one if you can, you can see when you look at it that mainly what was done was paint and some flooring. You're talking about the same appliances in the kitchen here. You're talking about the same pink countertop, laminate pink countertop. You're talking about fairly not substantial renovations, just cosmetic improvements
Right.
is what will give people a great return on that. And the buyers respond to that really well.
And that's what Danny's going to talk about when we talk about preparation and staging and so on, really focusing on how do you take, you know, the upper picture there and make it the lower picture there, what's involved, where should you spend your money, where should you not spend your money. That's one example. Here's another one, similar idea, you know, build a value about 550. Actually, in the end, we sold it for over 700,000. Big increase for the seller in this case. So exactly the same idea, and we see this time and time again.
Yeah.
And it was because we kept seeing these differences between what the builders were willing to pay and what the home buyers were willing to pay. We came up with the buyer or builder scheme. What the idea behind that is that if you think your home is a tear down, you need 2 bits of information. First of all, what a builder will pay, but secondly, what a buyer will pay. And that's what the buyer or builder is all about. Getting those 2 numbers. We'll talk to a couple of builders to get what that number would be. Then do a market analysis to see what a buyer would potentially pay for that home, and then do the comparison. And when you see those 2 numbers, then you can make a value judgment. If the difference is very small, then maybe selling to a builder is the right approach. More often than not, the difference is very large in favor of a buyer. And so in that case, the right thing to do, of course, is to sell to a buyer. So
Yeah.
put it on the open
Absolutely.
market and sell to a buyer.
Absolutely.
So, inevitable question, is my house a tear down? You know, it comes up, you know, every time we talk to a potential seller, it seems the case. So,
Yeah.
so what does selling in 2021 look like? Kind of it's a work in progress.
Moving target.
Right,
It's a moving target.
Yep. In terms of what or how things are being conducted. It is slowly but surely getting back to normal, that's for sure. You know, as we've now got through the vaccination, as the mask mandate has now been removed, buyers and sellers for that matter are feeling much more comfortable. Certainly buyers are feeling much more comfortable. And so we're getting back slowly but surely to business as usual. And I think it's fair to say by the end of the year, 2022, it really will be the same as we've seen previously.
But for instance, the open houses, we've only just started doing an open house on a Sunday for about the last 2 or 3 weeks. The rest of the time, for the last 18 months, well, the last 13 months or so, since end of March 2020, we haven't done open houses. Homes are still selling and still selling strongly because the open houses tend to be now, well, the buyer profile changed how they view houses during the pandemic. They were going in, the serious buyers were making private showings. That's how they were seeing homes. They didn't want to go into open houses, or if there were open houses scheduled, then they were a bit sketchy. You know, there's a whole lot of things, and this is where we say you could lose the buyers by doing a normal open house, especially if people were really, really cautious of being around others inside. And if they had to wait outside until someone got in, well, you only need 10 buyer groups outside waiting. You know, with one buyer group doing 20 minutes inside, and you're already over 3 hours for that 10th buyer group to get into the home. So there wasn't really good ways of doing open houses. But sometimes we want what we're seeing now with doing an open house on a Sunday, for instance. We're seeing just a few serious buyers, but we are seeing a lot of looky-loos or people who are thinking about buying in 12 months' time, just getting out and having a look. So it's still not, the open houses are still not critical to selling a home. I think that's fair to say. They're still not critical to selling a home. But sometimes folks want them, so we're just starting to do them.
There is a change in the way the serious buyers view homes over what they used to do in 2019. What we are seeing is that the series of buyers are really looking at the home virtually. They're looking at all of the digital components of the marketing. And at that point, making a decision whether they go to an open house or whether they go to a private showing, predominantly private showings. So that is a change, and that's going to continue until we get back to the point of people going out to open houses just for social, if you like, just because the only way I can get to see it. The serious buyers are looking at all of the digital components of the marketing, and at that point deciding, yes, this is a home I want to see, and making that private showing. That's for sure. What we're doing with private showings is no overlapping groups. That gives two benefits. One, of course, there is the safety benefit, but secondly, there isn't that mass of people in the home, allowing people to have a little bit more time on their own in that home. And we found that that's been very beneficial, because you're not competing, for want of a better word, with everybody else who's in there like we used to have at open houses. You're giving them that dedicated 15 minutes, 30 minutes. They're able to take a very close look at the home without other people around them distracting them. And so that no overlapping buyer groups has proved very, very successful in terms of giving the buyers a really good understanding of the home.
And feeling the home. Because it's really important when you're living in a home and when you're considering buying a home, how do you feel in the home? That's really important. That positive visceral feel when a buyer walks in the door is key. And if there's lots of people milling around, that positive visceral feel is harder to come by. Whereas if they're in the home by themselves with their agent, they can take their time and just feel the home. That's the warm and fuzzy stuff, sorry.
Yeah, I have no idea how that works. Feature sheets, beginning to start printing them again. We are beginning to go back to feature sheets. Although every time I go to a restaurant now, all I get is a QR code.
I know, yeah.
So we have that as well, actually, as it turns out. So, the idea that we need a physical feature sheet, but hey, restaurants have figured out that they don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Open houses and private showings, same idea. Scan a QR code and you get the physical feature, you get the virtual feature sheet there for you to see. So, we're doing both of those at the moment, kind of following the trend of what the business outside real estate is doing, but also beginning to print those feature sheets. Marketing, lots of virtual marketing. I mean, as I said before, this is really how buyers are starting to look at homes. So all of those websites, 3D tours, floor plans, lots of high quality photographs, all of that, even more, it's always been important. And we've been preaching this one for a long time, but it's even more important now as the way buyers look at homes is changing in terms of doing that. And clearly closings are predominantly virtual. I guess you still can't go to the registry. I have no idea. But from what we've seen, most of it is minimum number of people at the closing. So all of the mechanisms are a slight variation of what we've seen previously, but slowly but surely getting back to normal. So who are today's buyers? Kind of important to look at this, because ultimately, if you're a seller in this market, these are the people that you're marketing to. So who actually are they? So a little bit of a quick look at some demographics. This is the demographics for the United States, 2015, but the shape is going to be very similar to what we have today. Two areas are important. The two yellow bars here. Now, as you see two bumps, that means there are more people of that age group in the general population. The top bracket there, the top yellow bar, are the baby boomers, the children born after World War II. They are now getting to retirement, and therefore downsizing is front and foremost in their minds. The lower yellow bar are the millennials, the so-called first-time home buyers. So they're looking to jump on the home buying ladder, if you will. So if you think about a town or an area that has got relatively affordable homes, and I'll pick on Arlington, close by here. Arlington's surrounded by towns which are more expensive. The house prices are more expensive. Winchester, Lexington, Belmont, and so on. Arlington's a great destination for downsizers because it's very close to where they currently are. Their circle of friends remains the same, and so it's a great destination for those downsizers. The first-time home buyers coming the other way, if you like. Instead of coming from Winchester to Arlington, they're coming from Boston, Cambridge, and Somerville into Arlington. It's a great first-time home buyer a town because it's vibrant, got a great school system, close to Boston, more affordable than the town surrounding it, and so it finds itself in a very good position. But that driver of downsizing, as well as first-time home buyers, that's what's really driving the market. That's what's driving the whole housing market. Be it in a town like Arlington, average price in Arlington about $1 million. There you go. This is a surprise. Average price Lexington, Winchester closer to 1.4, maybe even 1.5 million this year. So big difference there. So that's what's driving the market. But there's an awful lot of first-time home buyers in the market, and it's important to understand those first-time home buyers. Because there are a lot of them. Yes, they're busy, but here's the key, right? A little bit disingenuous, but follow me through here. Prior generations kind of knew how to do things. That's not necessarily true of the generation today. To put that in perspective, we had that today. We had somebody come in and write a check for us. This was the first time this person had written a check. And I didn't check it because I didn't think I had to, and it was wrong. So
you didn't tell me about
no,
that.
No, right. So it was like, oh, okay. I never thought that, but the idea here is, the first-time home buyers, they're not really that able to fix things, and therefore they have to pay for things. Now, think about this. Average price in a first-time home buyer's town, I'll pick on Arlington again, almost $1 million. Buyers today are having to stretch to buy in that town. The reality is they don't have any money left over. They are being pushed to the absolute limit to buy. Back to what I said previously, very much a strong seller's market. What that means is buyers are having to compete to buy homes. Average sale price to list price ratio in Winchester, Lexington, about 105. Average sale price for so far this year, somewhere around 110% in an Arlington. So clearly buyers are having to compete strongly, and that means at the end of the day, they don't have any money left over. There just is no money left over. They just don't have that. Therefore, buyers want a home that is fresh and move-in ready. That's the kind of the key word. It's got to be move-in ready. And it's because, one, they don't know how to do it. They have to pay for it. But more importantly, in this market that is so strong, they simply don't have the money to do that kitchen renovation, to do the painting of the whole house. Yeah. And that's why what Danny will talk about next is about how do you cater very much to that move-in ready requirement of the majority of buyers. Because if it's not move-in ready, guess what? The buyers are looking for a home they can invest in. And what does that mean? They're actually looking for a discount. So it's either move-in ready and they're willing to pay top dollar for that, or in fact having to pay top dollar for that, or they want a home that, guess what, they can get cheap because that's the only way they can afford to pay for the renovations that are required. So move-in ready, if there's one phrase to take away from this masterclass, it's move-in ready. Has to be move-in ready, because that's the first thing, the first pillar, if you like, to maximizing your sale price is creating a home that buyers can buy, they can move in, and they don't have to do anything because right now they don't have any money to do anything anyway. There you go. So, another aspect of it, kind of obvious, but more so after COVID, is the impact of the internet on real estate. Much, much more. As I said previously, today's buyers doing an awful lot online, and then once they've done all that online research, then making a decision whether they're going to go look at a home. They're not really in the business anymore of just looking at a home. Why wouldn't I do that? Now they're in the business of, I don't want to spend all my Saturday afternoon going to open house after open house. I want to look at the home before on a Friday evening, talk it through over Zoom with one of the agents in the team. Our agents do this all the time. Talk through all the homes that came on the market this week. Right, Friday night over that Zoom call, decide which home they're going to go see, make the private appointment and go see it. So the rest of their Saturday is available for them to do other things. So, search is different today. The use of Zoom is important today that, everybody knows how to do it. And it's so easy to just quickly run up a quick Zoom call and have a discussion. And when you're doing that, you can show a potential buyer an awful lot of information they wouldn't necessarily see. How's the market? Show me the house. Let's look at the 3D tour. Where is this home on Google Maps or in terms of the GIS systems that exist in the towns? All of those things, you can do all that on Friday night over Zoom. Then decide, yes, I want to look at this house, and this house. Make a private showing. We'll all be done by lunchtime on Saturday. Then we can do something else with my Saturday afternoon. Given that today's buyers are very educated about the market, be they on Zillow or any of the portals for that matter, they know an awful lot about the housing market. And it's important from a seller's perspective to understand that. Because buyers, if you think here we are in early June, they've probably been looking for a home since March, April, May. Here we are in June, and some of them will still be looking in July. Many sellers approach this with, yes, I think I'd like to come on the market. Can we do it in a few weeks? Well, have you done any research about the housing market? No, I haven't. So there's a definite difference between how educated, how much a buyer understands about the market versus how much a seller understands about the market. And that's really why we're doing these masterclasses. It's all about, let's level that playing field here, right? Let's level that playing field so a potential seller doesn't say, well, you know what? I don't think I want to renovate the kitchen. Don't need to. The buyers will probably want to choose the granite they have. Sure, they'd love to, but unfortunately they don't have any money left over to do that. And so that's kind of that move-in ready mantra that we talked about. And so, as we look at how homes come on, this is an example here. You can talk to this one, Danny.
This is a mistake that we see sellers make all the time because they're not getting the right advice from their agents. When we're talking about how busy the market is and how much demand there is in the market, have a look at this one. It came on the market 10/22 last year, end of October. Still really, really busy. We bought a home on the market the weekend before Thanksgiving and we had something like 24 offers on it. The market was busy. It was on the market 0 days. It came on the market, went straight under agreement immediately. So did they get the highest price for the home? Well, they got the asking price. But with what Marcus was saying about what the appreciation that's going on and how much demand there is for homes.
We can give you an example that is actually about a quarter of a mile from where we live. No, less than that. Less than a quarter of a mile.
Oh, yeah.
Home came on the market. The sign went outside, coming soon.
It didn't come on the market. No, it didn't come on the market.
It was just a coming soon. There's the sign outside. Even before that home had come on the market, that home had accepted an offer.
Yeah.
Now, it had been exposed to one or two buyers, probably.
Maybe
probably one, I imagine. Yeah. Certainly not the wide exposure that homes require in this market, given the sheer volume of buyers there are out there. Now, did that seller get top dollar for their home? No, clearly not.
And this is where, part of that smart decisions, smart moves made here. You've got to understand what's happening with the market and the type of market conditions we're in at the moment, so that if you get someone telling you to do X, that just doesn't make sense.
Right.
It's all about understanding so that you can make a smart decision, because smart decisions are key to getting you the highest price.
That's what that says, doesn't it?
Oh, it's critical to know the big questions to ask and to know what's happening and why. And even more importantly, to trust the people who represent you, because what you know or don't know will impact your outcome. You see, I said the same thing, but not from the slides.
There you go.
But it's true. I mean, this is the thing. It's true, and this is why we do these masterclasses. Because as I said before, the home someone owns, the home you own, is probably the most expensive asset that you own, that you have, and it's important to get the highest price for it and to sell it and not lose money on it. We could tell you story after story after story.
But we won't, because that's Smart Decisions, and you'll give me a hard time because I talk too long.
Yeah, I know, he did. So now we're getting on to my section, which is preparation. Now you remember that Marcus talked about the buyers wanting move-in ready. They want move-in ready. It's really, really important to have move-in ready because they'll pay more money for move-in ready. If we have a look, here's something. I'm hearing this a lot from sellers. I can come on the market at whatever price I want and the buyers will jump and they'll pay more for my home than I do. Or I'm hearing nothing's selling below the asking price. Everything's selling for over the asking price. So I pull out the data. This is for a town in this area. This is actually Lexington. So when you look at this, you've got the sale price to original price ratio. This is the sale price to list price ratio distribution. What you can see here is this largest bar is homes that sold at their asking price. They came on the market and sold at asking price. But look at this, 49%. I haven't got your plaything.
Thing. I can do this.
49% of the homes that came on the market, and this is 2020 data, 49% of the homes came on the market and sold for below the asking price. Now, this year is a little bit more of a strong seller's market, but we're still seeing, I think you did a calculation.
So far, I'll have a little bit more in a month's time. It's pretty close to that ratio.
You said it was something like 40%.
I was expecting that ratio to be 80-20. But no, it wasn't. It's very close to what you see there. I'll know a little bit more once we get a little bit more data, because I need 3 to 4 months worth of data, which is what I'm looking for. But so, it's very similar to the ratio you see there.
So that's key, that in 2020, very, very strong market, 51%, only 51% of the homes sold for over the asking price. So part of the thing is we want to show you how you can be one of those 51% that are selling for over the asking price, because everybody who walks in the door wants your home and wants to pay what they need to pay to buy your home. That's important. And to show you that it's not every home is selling over the asking prices, you just look at the data. Now, when we look at this, the days on the market, days on the market versus the sale price to list price ratio, here's your 100%, this line just there. The longer a home is on the market, the lower the sale price to list price ratio goes. And you can see the first week a home is on the market, that's when you will get a higher than asking price offer. You don't typically get it after being on the market for a period of time. The prime time is the first weekend. So what do we mean by preparation? Preparation, look, we can give you ideas of what sorts of things we'll do where you'll get a good return on investment. But preparation, there's a few different options. You could do nothing, and buyers and developers will compete for homes still. You can do minor cleanups and cosmetic improvements, and that attracts the buyers who want move-in ready homes. You can do updates. We always recommend people don't do renovations on a home unless you're planning on being in the home for over 2 years or more. If you're thinking about switching out the kitchen at some point in time, don't do it for the buyers. Do it now so that you get to enjoy the new kitchen as well, because in 3 years' time, it's still going to be a new kitchen for the buyers. You get the opportunity for it. But it's really important to spend your money wisely. Spending your money wisely, don't spend it on things that will not increase the sale price of the home. Don't spend $2,000 to increase the price of the home by $2,000. That's just busy work, and it's costing you money. We want to give you advice on what the things are that will get. I was at a house today talking about it. 4.5 hours we spent going through the home on exactly the sorts of things that they should do in the next year or so if they're thinking about selling, and they are. But it's not just a one and done, and every house is different because there's no one answer fits all. Every house, it's different things that will make a difference. And we've got there, don't do major renovations unless you're going to be in the home for 2 years. It's interesting because a lot of people seem to have the thought process that to get a high return on projects that you do, you've got to spend a lot of money. You actually don't. I can say here that the highest return on investment we see, is paint. Just fresh paint around the home. And that's not a high dollar activity when you consider the return that we get. If I often get asked this, this is just a pure gut instinct, so take it as you will with that. But I would say with paint, a $10,000 spend on paint is probably going to get someone about a $60,000 increase in sale price.
Okay. I'll take that bet.
It's in that measure. It's in that sort of range of return on investment. So it's really powerful. But there are other things that you can do as well. So we give you advice on other high return on investment tasks. We often talk about the priority order because there's some things to tackle first, and other things, well, if you get to them, fantastic. But it's more important that you do these first, and that if you've got time later and you're still sort of, inspired to do things. We'll also give you advice on projects not worth doing. Don't replace windows. If you were thinking about replacing the windows because you've got single pane and you want to put double pane in because the buyers will like those. Yeah, the buyers will like those, but they won't pay any more money for the home with new windows in. Same with roofs, same with the furnace. All of these things still have to work, but you've got to be cautious with spending that money because the buyers expect those things to work. It's not that they're going to pay more for it because they just expect them to work. And part of the preparation, it depends on how a seller wants to work. Some sellers would just like to have us provide contractors or resources or people to call, and they'll take care of it. And other people just sort of say, you know what, can you do everything? Can you be they want to be an interested observer. You just take on and do it all. So it's up to you, or people, it's up to you as to what level of assistance you want. Now, if we're helping you, we can help get the quotes from the contractors. We can coordinate the contractors to come in to get the quotes and then to start the work. And then we can oversee the project, in conjunction with the seller. So it's a full range of whatever you want us to help with. We have someone in our team who we call our contractor whisperer. She's really good. She's got a whole array of people that are consistently good. And I have to say, if a contractor becomes inconsistently good, we drop them because we understand that our reputation, anyone that we recommend, if they don't do a good job, that reflects poorly on us. So we are very, very careful to ensure that the contractors we use and recommend are consistently good. Just recently, in about the last 3 weeks, we've started dropping a contractor because we'd had a couple of instances where our sellers had sort of said, weren't really sure about their attitude. Some of the people that came in, so okay, they're not coming in, we're not recommending them again, and we've found others to replace them. So it's that are consistently good. So we're always, it's not just a case of here's a number, call them, or here's a number, we don't care what they're like. It's no, we're constantly monitoring the activity and the feedback from our sellers as to how responsive and how easy they were to work with and things like that too. So, and how
quality of their work.
And their pricing too. Sometimes Susan in our team, I hear her on the phone and she'll get a quote from a painter, for instance, and she'll say, look, are you sure? I would have thought the amount of work that was there, I would have thought that would have been a little bit cheaper than what your quote is. And they talk a little bit further backwards and forwards, and the contractor goes back and revises the quote before Susan's even sent it on to the seller. So it's not a case of one and done, we just give you a name, we'll just organise someone, and we're quite careful with that. Anyway, so some before and afters. Wallpaper. Buyers come into a home when they see wallpaper and they think they see dollar signs. They don't know who to call. They have inflated ideas as to how much it's going to cost. I once had a buyer come into an open house and tell me that it was going to cost about $20,000 to remove wallpaper in a living room and a dining room. And I know it would have cost less than $2,000. And when I tried to give the buyer that advice, he said, yeah, you're just trying to sell me the house. And this is exactly what happens with the buyers though, which is why it's important to have a home move-in ready, because as soon as the buyers see something that they know that they need to spend money on, the price has just gone up. The cost of doing that has gone up tenfold because they don't know how much it costs. And the seller will get that return by having that work done before the buyer gets in. So here's an example. And here's the example of the home painted with the wallpaper down. A buyer will walk into this after image and just, oh, I don't have to do anything. I could just bring in my dining room table and my chairs and I can relax. Whereas the only thing that's changed in this picture is the wallpaper was taken down and fresh paint. Makes a huge difference. Here's one, a home that we bought on the market in Malden. The carpet was in really, really rough shape. It had been a rental for 10 years or so. And the walls were in rough shape. Well, here's what it looks like after just some flooring put down and some paint. This is, again, a buyer would walk in to, well, first off this one, oh, it's going to cost me a lot of money to fix this up. Here they walk in and, wow, this is fantastic. It makes a huge difference. Here's one. This kitchen, it's quite interesting. This kitchen here is just painted, and there were a couple, we did bring in a couple of stainless steel appliances and we did change a couple of light fixtures out, but this home was in a prime location and it could easily warrant just that little bit extra work done to it. And, you know, minimal cost and maximum impact. We had, I think that home came on the market for 1,195 and sold for 1,480, I think. Dramatic, because the buyers walked in and they saw white cabinets, granite counters and stainless steel appliances rather than the darker wood cabinets. They're still the same cabinets, they're just painted. Makes a huge difference. Here's another one. This home had been on the market for 103 days with another agent, unsold. I came in and sort of said, well, I think we need to paint some cabinets. You know, and look, to be honest, I like wood too. We've got a wood kitchen, but if we were going to sell, we'd have to paint our kitchen.
Okay.
So I like wood, but the buyers see, they want fresh and clean and what the builders are building currently, because the builders are putting in white kitchens everywhere. So a buyer wants that same feel when they walk in the door. So here's the before, 103 days on the market, unsold. The only thing we did in this house was paint the kitchen and paint the mantle around the fireplace and painted a bathroom cabinet. That's it. And we had competing offers on the home and sold it for way over asking. Here's another one. This is a home that has your older oak cabinets, and yes, sure, there was a bit of clutter around and the sellers were preparing to move out. But here it is, painted. That's it. We didn't do anything else. The counters are still the same, the appliances are still the same, just paint. And it makes the room feel so much fresher. The buyers can imagine themselves living in the home for several years before having to spend money and make it their own. That's important. Here's another one. This is one where we came in, painted the kitchen cabinets, and when we came in afterwards, the seller had asked the painter if he could paint the laminate counters as well. I don't know that I would have done that. We paint them in bathrooms where they're not high volume areas and high sharp utensils and things like this areas, but it looked great for sale. I just don't think it would have lasted a very sort of long...
in a high use area like
in
the
a
kitchen.
high use area.
Yep.
But it's the same cabinets, same countertop, same appliances. Actually, it did have some new flooring down because this sheet vinyl was torn up in some places. Here's another one. Look, a lot of folks don't realize that you can paint tiles. A lot of the tiles that we see in older homes date a home and also make it feel a little bit not as updated, a cheaper sort of build, that type of thing. But it's really easy to fix, You just paint the tiles, and with this one we actually took the wallpaper down. But you can see here, you can see the image of the grout lines. That was the only thing we did in this bathroom. Because what happens is when a buyer walks in to this before image, they're thinking, oh, we're going to have to renovate the bathroom. We can't move in. We need to renovate this. This is in old. Whereas when they walk into a freshly painted bathroom that's got freshly painted tiles, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, look at this. Well, it's a little old, but this is really, we can move in and maybe renovate the bathroom in 5 years' time, because it can be used now. They can't imagine using a bathroom that's got, I don't know why, but hey, this is what the buyers, we're just telling you what the buyers are thinking. Here's another one. You often have the swirly patterned laminate cabinets. And now I have to apologize. Most of these before images are not for the purposes of doing this. So I'm just taking photos just to show me the home to do a market analysis. And now I'm on video, so I don't take photos anymore. But what you're seeing here is blue tiles, and you're seeing the swirly pattern laminate counter. A buyer walking into that will say, I've got to renovate. Well, look what it looks like afterwards. Again, painted tile and painted laminate counters. You see here, you can paint the laminate counter and the cabinetry. It's not a high, you've not got sharp knives or forks or things like this on it. That will last a long time. Here's another one. This was a bathroom in an estate sale home. No, it wasn't. Sorry, this is a different one. And you've got your brown tiles, you've got a laminate counter that was in rough shape that had been taped together, and you've got some cabinets that didn't look fantastic, but fresh paint. It's still not changing anything with the bathroom, but it's making it feel like the buyer could move in and use the bathroom happily. Here's another one that's coming. I need to give you a story about it first. The home had been on the market for about 6 months with another agent, not selling. And they called me in And I came in and the kitchen was beautiful, huge kitchen. And it was cherry cabinetry. It was beautiful. But there was so much cherry cabinetry that the buyers would have, responded badly to it, and which they were, because it wasn't selling. And I talked to the seller about potentially painting the cherry cabinetry. There was a little bit of pushback. Didn't really, and it's a seller's call. She wasn't really sure whether she wanted to do that. And after a little bit, she said, "Oh, yeah, okay, I'll paint them. I'm going to trust you. I'll paint them." Anyway, I called her a couple of days later, because it only took a couple of days. We got a painter in the same day. And called her a couple of days later, and she said, "Oh, I love how the kitchen turned out. I loved it so much that I painted my bathroom as well." This was the bathroom. Cherry cabinetry in the bathroom, and she painted it the white. So she was so taken with how it looked and how well it came up that she did that herself and went and painted the bathroom. So now it's not just inside that's important. Here's another image where this home had been a for sale by owner, and then it was on the market for a year or more with another agent, and then it was a for sale by owner again. It's not just inside that's important. In fact, with this home, I think we only went into the master bathroom and did something in the master bathroom. The majority of it was done outside, because if you look at this, you've got beige garage doors. You've got a sort of a purpley pink.
Plum, we used to call it.
Plum, yeah, purpley plum trim, purpley plum trim, and some scraggly trees. Okay, with some paint exterior. We painted the garage doors, painted the trim white, got rid of the big scraggly trees, and it had competing offers and sold for over asking. And that home had been on the market for about 2 years, not selling previously. It just smartened it up. That's all we're trying to do, is smarten up a home so that it feels move-in ready to the buyers. And it's not just paint. Sometimes landscaping makes a huge difference. So this was a home this was the front of the home. You can't even see that there's a side entrance there. And this is the view from the street. And with taking down some of the trees, if you look at this, you can imagine that the inside of the home would have been quite dark, because most of the lower level windows were covered with vegetation. And with some fresh paint outside and some landscaping, some newer, fresher plants, because think about it with the thing that a lot of buyers want new construction, but they just can't afford new construction typically. Well, when new construction is done, they're putting in new plants. So by taking down some of these older, scraggly trees that have never been pruned and put in new plantings, just from first glance at that online, that's new construction. So it pulls the buyers in even more so. So that was number 2, preparation. Number 3, I need to take a drink for a minute. Number 3 is staging, because it's really, really important to wow the buyers when they walk in the door. If they walk in the door and look around, oh, wow, I like this home. Positive visceral feel, that's when you'll get the highest price. So Marcus, do you want to tell us about this next?
About the next thing?
Yeah.
We're quite proud of this, I have to say. As Danny will mention in a moment, we stage the majority of homes that we sell in some way. In fact, we stage it to some extent, all of the homes that we sell. Some to a greater or lesser degree, as Danny will explain. And so, given that we do that in-house, we don't outsource that. We actually have our own truck. So hopefully you've seen that driving around, because hopefully you can't miss it. Because it's
Although it's
bright
only been
blue.
wrapped. It's only been wrapped now for a month and a half, 6 weeks. it's been a bear truck for a while.
Indeed, yes. But now it's got colour in it.
So keep an eye out for it.
Yep, keep an eye out for it.
So we sort of say, if you're selling and this truck isn't staging at home, that's a bad move. Smart moves made here. That's got a catchy ring to it, doesn't it? Anyway, staging. Why is it important? Well, here's some stats. 83% of buyers agents said a staged home helped buyers visualize the property as a future home. It's all about creating evocative imagery of how a buyer can use a home. That's the key component. How could a buyer live in this home? And if you can do that with furniture, that's a key component. So vacant homes, forget it. Staged homes are really important. 25% of buyers agents said potential buyers increased their offer between 1 and 5% on a staged home. So math. Say for instance, Arlington, $1 million average
nice
sale
and
price.
easy.
Yep.
5%?
Yeah.
$50,000.
Just by staging.
Yep.
Huge. Huge. And we don't charge for it. And we'll get onto that in a second. 85% of homes surveyed were sold for 6 to 25% more than homes that were not staged. All of these are stats from reputable places that talk about the staging component. So staging, it creates an emotional response. And when you've got that emotional response, it's critical to getting the highest price. Other agents charge for the service, or the seller pays the staging company directly. We include it as part of our services for sellers because we know it's going to sell your home for more, it's going to sell it faster, and we have the team and the truck and the furniture that does it. So we have about 18 housefuls of furniture, and we have five stages, a full-time staging manager and a truck, and that's all included as part of the fee, part of the standard fee too. So what does it involve? It involves a virtual consultation at the moment. Virtual consultations. We're starting to get more and more into physical consultations. I know our team was at a house just today, walking through the home, and as a training exercise, and then going back to the warehouse and pulling for that home to be staged tomorrow. So it's all part of training as to our interior designer, who's our staging manager, is helping our staging team understand the spaces and what's important and what's not important to do. But to start with, depersonalize and declutter. It's performed by our in-house professional staging team, and the furniture that we bring in and the accessories, every house is different. Every house is different because some houses are vacant. The sellers will move. We just bought on a home last weekend, 48 Baskin, and the sellers had moved out just prior to us coming into stage. So we bought in a house full of furniture. We have a home, but most of the time, sorry, I was distracted for a second.
This weekend? Princeton Road is vacant.
Yep. Yes.
What else did we do this? I don't remember now.
That's
Hill Street is vacant. No, 2 this week were vacant.
26 Middle Street coming on the market
That
tomorrow.
wasn't vacant.
It's occupied. So
that's the only one.
And 40 Vale is coming on. It's occupied. So a lot of homes are occupied, and we'll come in and we will supplement furniture. We'll create accent pieces. We'll suggest moving some things, just to create flow through the home and open it up and that type of thing. So it's not a case of we want you to move out. No, most of the homes we bring on the market are occupied. So it's based on the particular need. In 2021, it's starting to be a little bit more flexible now, but we ask that sellers are not home while the stages are in your home. Partly because we can be in and out quicker, and photos, video, and 3D tour are done immediately after that, and that definitely happens faster if nobody's at home. So we can give you your home back again very quickly if we can get in and out in
short order.
Speedy. So here's an example. Here's a photo that was the before image. It was on the market for 206 days, not selling, with another agent. So they're thinking, buyers are walking in and thinking, well, what is this room for? It was actually a dining room, but there wasn't a dining room light, so the buyers were walking in and thinking, I don't know what this room is. Well, it's a dining room. And after we staged and some minor updates, we had competing offers and sold it for over 2.2 million. So it doesn't matter what price point you're at, we will get competing offers. We had competing offers on a home, a $2.7 million home, just recently. Here's another image of a living room. It doesn't really feel very inviting. Here's the living room feeling a little bit more inviting, and the buyer's seeing that it's a living room. This one's a little harder. So what room do you think that is? The buyers would be walking through that thinking, I don't know what this room is. And if the buyers don't know what the room is, they're not seeing themselves living there and seeing themselves in that room because they don't know what it is. But it was a dining room. So you bring in dining room furniture, and it tells the buyers what the room is and how they can use it when they live in the home. Because as I sort of mentioned, you're trying to evoke imagery of how a buyer would live in the home by it. And sometimes they just need some guidance and some spatial awareness too. Spatial awareness, some perspective. Because in the before image, how big a table could you fit in that room? Don't know. Here's the same room with a 4-seater, or could be a 6-seater table in that room. And that's also really important in bedrooms, and that's why we stage every bedroom, because a buyer doesn't know how big a bedroom is unless there's something that they know the size of, if it's in there, a king size bed or a queen size bed or a twin bed. Okay, yeah, this fits a queen size bed really easily, doesn't it? This is huge. It's a far better response, this is huge, than, oh, I don't think my furniture will fit. I don't think my bed will fit. You've got to have that, this is huge. So here's a living room. It's a beautiful home. Doesn't feel very warm, but there's the same home with just some furniture around. Here's another one. This is a bedroom.
We saw the before in the preparation of that one as well.
Yes, that actually I think that was that same one. And here it is staged. Feels really nice. That's the difference that staging makes. It's so important. Now, what you may not know is these are blow-up beds, air beds. We don't carry heavy mattresses up and down stairs and things like this. This is a secret, this is a staging secret. When you see things like this in what's clearly a vacant home, don't try and sit on the bed. Because, for instance, these are 2 blow-up mattresses that are sitting on 6 or 4 plastic tubs, and there's just bedding spread over them, and that's perfect. But if you try and sit on it, it's not going to work. So that's just a technique. Now, it's not just existing home sales that staging is important for. This was new construction, and this was a home that was just about finished, and this was a before. And here is that same room with staging in it. And This was a home that we sold 2 years ago. 2 years ago, end of 2019, the fall of 2019, when the market was really starting to suffer. It wasn't a seller's market, it was more a balanced market. Things weren't selling very quickly. We bought this one on the market for $2,730 and sold it for $2,700 2 or 3 weeks after it came on the market. That's the power of staging. Here's the same one before where you saw the exterior photo. Well, this was one of the photos inside of the family room. There's the staging, was a chair. And then we came in with some staging furniture. But see how big this room is? It still looks a bit empty here. We did have some more furniture back here. But when a buyer looks at that and they see 2 3-seaters, I think they're 3-seaters, in the room, wow, this is a big room. Put some scale to it. This is the same house. Now, what you see, the value of staging is defining spaces. Again, evoking the imagery of how they can use the home. This was a particularly challenging thing. This was why the home wasn't selling, in my opinion. Well, there was a lot of components to it, but because there was the exterior and things. But when you look at this photo, you'll see at the front there, and the front door was over there. This was the living room, clearly the living room. This central room here was the dining room. What's this room? The buyers would have walked through there and thought, I don't know what to use this room for. When they don't know what to use this room for, again, you've lost them. Well, with some staging, we created the living room up there. We had the dining room here. Well, this was their pre or post dinner drinks room. That's what I can use this room for. You're explaining to the buyers with furniture what a room's function is, and that's part of the preparation phase. And the staging is so that when the buyers walk in the door, I can imagine myself living here and just moving in. I'm pulling in my suitcase, unpacking my suitcase, and enjoying the space. Now, you.
So, staging.
No, I did staging. You're onto marketing.
I know.
Okay.
So, let's talk about marketing. As you mentioned before, changing the way buyers are beginning to do the search, and specifically how they are deciding whether they are or are not going to go and view a home. So is very much changing the way marketing is coming in that it is all about having everything online so the buyers can find everything about the home before they actually make that private showing. So does marketing matter in a seller's market? Yes, it does. I mean, it clearly does. And to put some metrics to this, perhaps even more so. And I'll have to look at the slides for the numbers because
I talk this stuff
you
day
can
in
rattle
and
off
day
these
out.
numbers straight away.
Oh, you want me to? Okay.
Why not?
So we have an app. Marcus will show you that in a minute. Why do we have an app? We were selling a home that we owned in DC a couple of years ago, and we used a very good agent down there. But we were clueless as to when things were happening. We didn't know when things were happening. So we decided to put some money into building an app so that we could keep our sellers and our buyers informed as to what was going on. I'm getting long-winded into this, but part of that, we have information now and metrics that we know we have a really good handle on the correlations between various aspects. The digital media views, if we get 40 plus views of a 3D tour for a home in the first 2 days of the home being on the market, that typically tightly correlates with 20 plus private showings of the home in the 4 days that it's on the market. And if we've got 20 plus private showings on the home, typically that correlates tightly with 2 plus offers on the Tuesday. For instance, 48 Baskin. Oh, no, you show it. Yeah.
Want me to show it?
Show the data.
Let's move over to, there we go. So here's our app for that matter. The key thing about this, as well as giving access to the masterclasses, as well as everything you see currently on our website, is the dashboard area. And the dashboard's really important in that this is where it gives you a sense of what's happening, both in terms of what the key dates are while you're in, for example, the preparation and staging phase, or you're in an accepted offer, but also what's happening in terms of the number of views of those so-called digital assets. So let me give you an example.
Hold on. 57 Princeton Road is one that it's under agreement currently and closing in about a week or two in Arlington.
Should we take a look at that
have
one?
a look at that. 70 Princeton Road is coming on the market tomorrow. So there you go. Come and see it.
You can see the signs, I think, between the two.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's take, while we're on talking about 57 Princeton, let's take a look at 57 Princeton. So this has moved on to the accepted offer phase. So here's all the information about the dates and so on that are relevant to that home. But what's important to what Danny's was talking about before, let's take a look at what happened while it was on the market. Here it is while it was on the market. And you can see there in the bar chart below how many times or how many people viewed, in this case, the 3D tour. And it's kind of interesting to see this because what we're seeing as we've tracked more and more of these, when we bring the home on the market, usually on a Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, Thursday, we get lots of showings on Thursday of the 3D tour. Lots of showings on the Friday as well. Then it drops off on the Saturday because Thursday and Friday is when buyers are looking at everything, the video, the 3D tour, the feature sheets, the photos. They're making that decision whether they are or are not going to go to make a private showing. Saturday and Sunday, they're actually looking at the home. Then it tends to pick up Sunday afternoon and Monday because now some percentage of those people have viewed the home. Now it's a chance for me to take another look at the home before I actually write that offer, thinking about what to offer and so on. And so there's a really direct correlation between the number of views of these 3D tours and how many private showings. And clearly there's a correlation between private showings and people writing offers. So that's why having all these digital pieces in place is so very, very important. And it's important to be able to see how many times people are viewing 3D tour and video and so on. And that's what this allows people to do.
And it's not just the 3D views on there. There's video views, feature sheet views, there's website views.
Right,
all
there's
of
a
that,
lot to see. I can do
all
that.
of that.
Well,
Yeah. And that also, you know, if we've got an accepted offer on the home and I've sent you an email, we're going to be in destaging your home in a week's time, you know, Thursday, such and such a date, and it's getting closer and you're thinking, when did they say they were coming in to destage? When did they say? Instead of you having to scroll through all of your emails and things like this, you just go to the app and the app tells you destaging X date. So it's a communication mechanism as well where everything's in the one spot to help you understand what's going on.
right. So marketing. What's involved in marketing? What are the key pieces of marketing? There's lots to it. Clearly there are photography, video. Many people will watch this masterclass afterwards based on the video that's on YouTube. 3D tour, I'll show you that in a moment. Floor plans, websites, virtual open houses. I mean, all of those are the key components of marketing. And having got all of those components in place, we now need to get it out in front of today's potential buyers. So, photographs. I mein, clearly that's the first thing that anybody sees, no matter which platform they're looking at. It's the first thing that they see. And it's clearly super important. You would think clearly. We'll show you in a minute that isn't necessarily the case.
That's not the case that all people adopt.
Right.
Yeah.
But it really is critical because and you think about the amount of what you see, for example, on social media, it goes past really, really quickly. Now, unless you've got high quality, it will go straight past on somebody's newsfeed. They're just never going to see it. They'll dismiss a house. Here's an example. Maybe show an example would be easier. Here's an example of actually the same kitchen. These are not our photographs, I might add.
Not our
but
photos.
this is exactly the same kitchen. Now, it's pretty clear that if somebody's thinking about which home am I interested in, where will I go, where will I make the private showings, they're going to make the private showing in the property on the right, not the property on the left. But remember, it's the same property. So it really is that high quality photographs really do matter. And we see this time and time again. I'll just rattle through some examples. Here's an example.
Well, first off, comparison with one of ours on the right-hand
Right.
side. That's the quality of photos that you should be expecting. And on the left-hand side, this agent, we believe, takes photos with his iPhone.
But it's blurred.
It
now,
moves.
and so, this is the showcase. This is the initial showcase. Here's another example. I mean, clearly the staging's not great. If there any staging, no, there isn't. But also the photography is really bad. Here's another example. Perhaps they could have put away the box of tissues as well. And here's another one too, which you can definitely see the blurriness.
But the next one is the best one. Look at that.
There we go. So
how did a seller accept that being on their listing? I'm sorry.
So poor photography really, really matters. And unfortunately, we see time and time again poor examples of that. And it is your showcase. It absolutely is your showcase. So enough on photography. Video. Video, again, crucial to how people today that look at things, right? Products. They're always looking for videos. We do a number of different videos, each designed for specific markets. Social media one, which might be, a sneak peek of the home, designed specifically for social media. Top 5 reasons you love this home. A quick, maybe a 2-minute video, again, ideally situated, ideally designed for social media. The more traditional walkthrough of the home, that's there too. And then for some of the luxury properties, we'll do a lifestyle video. Even with staging, they can look a little, not cold, but cold perhaps is the right word. So what we'll do is we'll bring in actors to make that home alive, make it look like, yes, this is how somebody might actually live in that home. So that's a crucial aspect of it.
And that one's closing on Friday.
This one is indeed, absolutely. We think the 3D tour is critical. And should I show the website here?
Yeah, I think
Why don't
so. That makes
you talk
sense.
through the 3D tour, and while you're doing that,
So
I'll
the
bring up
3D tour, it's really important to have a 3D tour for a home, because the 3D tour is, oh, you're getting it up there? Okay. Well, let's go and show the website and then scroll down.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So 3D tour, key component of marketing. But what Danny was saying, why don't we just show you the website? Here's an example of pulling or everything together, the photographs, the narrative. Susan on our team writes incredible narrative that kind of walks you through the home, imagines what it would be like to live in that home. And we bring all of that together into a website. So this is a home that we brought in the market last week.
Last Thursday had 11 offers on it and sold it way over asking price.
Okay, so 48 Baskin. And so here's, you say, a single place to find everything about that home. You don't need to go anywhere else. It's all there. Here's the information, lots of photographs, and you can page through the photographs too. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see them there.
And this is a home that the sellers moved out of,
So it's vacant.
just prior to coming on. So this is all staging furniture that we came in.
So what we'll do is we'll walk a potential buyer through the home with a combination of great narrative as well as photographs. And they're structured, they're ordered as if you were walking through the home. Imagine a buyer's agent was taking them through the home, actually walking them through the home as they might go through there.
Yeah.
So then if I scroll down, it's quite a large home, as you can see. There we go, to the 3D tour. Now, that's all very well. I mean, the photographs are great. They're really, really important. The narrative important, but they're a kind of a snapshot of it. What we really want, and what the buyers really want, is to spend a long time in that home. That's not really possible. Clearly, it's not really possible, given that they have a limited amount of time. And this is where the 3D tour. Oops.
Oh.
Let me go back to this one.
Live.
Try this again.
Live. Isn't that wonderful?
No, not really. Here we go. It's live. So there we go. I know this mole's available. There we go. Thank you.
It was there. Let's see if we... Maybe it's being viewed so many times at the moment. Oh, something's going wrong with that, isn't it? Well, this one's already sold.
There we go.
It's already sold.
So what buyers want is the ability to spend a long time in that home, spend as long as they want. And so that's what the 3D tour allows them to do. Let's go down into the family room area.
And turn around,
you can
and
look
they
around.
can see, yeah.
You can look at all aspects of that home, spending as long as you want. You know, go into the kitchen, take a closer look at, you know, the kitchen and so on. You really can spend as long as you want in that home.
Yeah.
It's really slow. And that's critical. You can jump between floors, something you can't do in the real world, of course. There we go. We'll go to the next floor.
I think we've got internet problems, haven't we?
I don't know.
Okay.
You can kind of work your way around that home, looking at all aspects. So the 3D tour is critical, really, because today's buyers have a potentially a relatively small amount of time within that home. That's key. And so the 3D tour allows them to spend as long as they want. It's also got kind of interesting feature. Hopefully this will work for us. There we go. A floor plan view. Now, this is not the traditional schematic floor plan. We have that as well. But this allows you to see the home with furniture in it. So you can begin to get that perspective that Danny talked about too. Begin to see what's where in terms of the home. What fits where? How big is it? How did they live in the home? So that's really important to be able to see not just the schematics with the measurements on it, but how did they use the space? Where did the bed sit? Which kind of beds? Is it a twin bed? Is it a queen, as Danny mentioned previously? All of that you can see within this.
I love the dollhouse view.
You're going to crush it for me now, aren't you?
No, let's see.
Okay, maybe not. There we go. It's behaving itself. Thank you.
So the dollhouse view shows you what rooms sit over what rooms and where the bathrooms are, where the sewer stacks are, all of those sorts of things, so that you can, if you're thinking about putting an extra bathroom in, well, where can I put it in? Oh, where the sewer stacks are, you know, all of this type of thing. It makes it so much easier to view a home when you've got the dollhouse view of it.
So let's see what else we've got on the website.
Yeah.
Go to this one. There we go. Sorry about that.
And I think
there we go. So there's the 3D tour. There's our video. That's there too. We mentioned that previously. Here's our feature sheet. This is exactly the feature sheet that we print. So it's available for potential buyers to look through and to print as well. That's all on the website there. Pictures of the home. We always bring in some statistics about what's going on in the Lexington market. That is there as well.
Or the market that the house is in.
Or the market it's in. In this case, this was the house in Lexington. And that's then a map that kind of shows where that is. And then we finish up with that schematic floor plan I talked about. And then a map that shows the house in relation to the schools, and then the house in relation to public transport. So that's all there too. So that's the website. Let me bring the presentation back up for you. There we go. There we are. Oh.
Okay.
All right. So let me move this out of the way so we can see where we are. So having done all of that, the next most important thing, of course, is to be able to get that in front of people. How can we take all of that great website and so on and actually get it in front of people? And we have two approaches to that. First of all, there is this broad approach in terms of social media, pushing the home out to a large number of people who are potentially buying a home in the area. We're not talking way out, of course, that wouldn't make any sense, but actually broadly pushing it out. And this is where the quality of those products really matters. Because if you don't have high quality photographs, if you don't have the 3D tour, if you don't have the videos, then there's nothing to show on social media. And therefore, this strategy just doesn't work at all. So that's a key one. Having done that kind of broad outlook, the next thing we do is we bring it very targeted. We look at people within our database who've been interacted with us, interacted with our website, been to open houses. Everybody who's kind of expressed an interest in a home that's 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom in Arlington, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms in Lexington, whatever it may be, we'll target them with, hey, guess what? You are interested in this kind of home, and we have one coming on the market, potentially on the market right now. So 2 strategies. First of all, take everything we've got in terms of the digital components, pushing them out to a broader audience. And then the next one is being very targeted in terms of getting that in front of people who are specifically looking for a home that looks like yours, for that matter. Yeah. So that's marketing. Very, very important. Always been important, but much more important today, just because of the way people search. They're doing that search, they're doing that research right up front, zooming with an agent to see which homes they're going to look at. They're doing all of that based on the virtual components of the marketing plan. So that's why it's really, really important today, because that's what gets people in to do private showings.
Exposure.
There you go.
Key. Absolutely. So, number 5 pillar, because we've talked about smart decisions, preparation, staging, marketing. 5th one is excellence through teamwork. What do we mean by that? Well, if it's just me doing all of those components, yeah, I can do them. I may not do them the best way that they can be done, because I'm not skilled at talking to or getting the contractors in, or coordinating those, or marketing. I may not be fantastic in social media. We have specialists working on every component of bringing a home on the market. We've got those specialists doing it so that it's a superior product, it's a superior delivery of every component, and that's really, really important. It's incredibly important. Staging, sure, I can stage homes. I don't do it as well as our interior designer can stage homes. I just don't. The smart decisions, yeah, I can talk that sort of stuff through, the stats and things. Marcus does a heck of a lot better job than me. So, well, I do a pretty damn good job.
I'm going to record this, by the way.
No.
I'm going to edit it, I'm going to video it, I'm going to chop that piece out, and I'm going to have it ready.
Nah. I do really,
Carry on,
good.
Talk about it. Keep talking to me.
So anyway, all right, so let's talk about this. What do we mean by this? So to us, the client's the center of our universe. I mean, seriously, the client's the center of our universe. Everything that we do is to deliver this client a superlative result. The agent connects, works with the client. It's not that we all sort of disperse and the client's left wondering what's going on. We're all working with the client. The agent is, the listing coordinator, the closing coordinator, the preparation phase, staging, marketing. We're all working to make the client's experience a really positive one, because our goal is to sell your home for the most amount of money in the least amount of time with zero hassle or stress. That's our goal. And that's what creates experiences worth talking about, because we have an awful lot of our sellers. It's a relationship for life. It's they're friends. They trust us. We sold a home in Westboro earlier this year because it was one of our sellers who had bought and sold a couple of times with us and wanted us to sell in Westboro. Same thing with Malden. One of our past sellers had something in Malden, wanted us to. So it's a relationship for life. People know that we'll do the right thing by them. So let's talk about core values. These are important. These are important. You should be demanding these sorts of values when you work with an agent to sell your most expensive asset. Integrity and ethical behavior. That's number one. Absolutely number one. You've got to demand that. Unfortunately, we could tell you lots of stories and we won't.
You won't.
But we could tell you lots of stories where that's just not the case, and people have lost a lot of money not demanding that. Anyway, education, not selling. We're not going to sell you. We're just going to educate you. Just explain what's going on with the market and how the market's working and the best way of doing this and the best way of doing that. Still your call, but we want to educate you so that you understand. And exceptional customer service. There's a whole lot of us in the team who are working to make it a positive experience for you. And not just from the coming on the market phase, but once you're under agreement, you're not forgotten at that point either. It's all the way through till closing and then after closing. And when you talk about how important it is to use a professional doing this, well, this is, you want to use a professional, not Aunt Mary. Too many people choose Aunt Mary. You want a professional who does this day in and day out to get you the highest price. There's a term in the industry called a 3Ps agent. You don't want a 3Ps agent. So a 3Ps agent is someone that puts a sign out front, puts it in MLS, and then prays. You don't want that sort of agent. You want proactive, professional, everything geared to getting you the highest price. It's not just us saying that though. The National Association of Realtors commissioned an independent study about 3 years ago, of what the biggest threat to the real estate industry was. And the number one threat to the credibility of the industry was masses of marginal agents destroy reputation. The real estate industry is saddled with a large number of part-time, untrained, unethical, and/or incompetent agents. This knowledge gap threatens the credibility of the industry. It's not us saying this, it's an independent study commissioned by the National Association of Realtors. That's a huge thing. So when we say that you need a professional to do this, we mean you need a professional to do this, because if you get a part-time agent who doesn't do it all the time, or an untrained agent, doesn't know what they're doing, or an unethical agent, you can just imagine what happens there, or an incompetent agent, your life is a misery selling your most expensive asset. So anyway, who are the agents in our teams? There's Marcus and myself, and then we have Rachel and Corinne, Andrew, Yuki, Wenjen, Dawn, and another Rachel. So there's a whole lot of us here to help you in succeeding in selling your home. So what are the steps to success? Get us in to advise you, even 5 years in advance. It doesn't need to be, you need to sign a contract before we will give you advice. No, we'll give you advice, period. It doesn't matter when you're thinking about selling. If you want advice about real estate, we love talking about this stuff. We do. We love talking about this stuff. 4.5 hours at a house today.
Hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. And 4.5 hours at a house today.
Yeah, I know.
We love talking about this stuff. And it was constructive. It was a constructive 4.5 hours too. It wasn't just 4.5 hours of chit chat. Anyway, planning your move. That's important. Where, when, do you need to sell to be able to buy? What are the logistics involved? Because it's important to plan that out. And the order of buying or selling depends on on your finances, and depends on the market. So everyone is different. And start preparing your home. Now, when I say preparing your home, if you know that there's some paint that needs to be done, get going on that. If you want help on colours, that's the most fun I have is doing colours, but that's okay. Information, start researching this. We have a Selling Essentials video series that you can get to on our website, on the main page of our website. Just scroll down and there's a video library, and one of it's Selling Essential videos, and there's over 100 videos in there on different components of the selling process. So pick and choose what you want to look at. And get us in for a market analysis. Just give you an idea of where your home is and how, you know, what it would sell for today. And when you think about selling in 3 years' time, we'll do another one. So it doesn't need to be, you need to be selling next week and we'll do a market analysis. We'll do it for you regardless. Because to us, it's, you know, partnering with you. You can reach out to anyone in the team and they'll help. Our aim is to provide exceptional customer service, because communication's key both ways. It's really important both ways. Because relax, we've got this. And we think that our client deserves to be the smartest person at the closing table, and that we all benefit by becoming smarter about home buying and selling. It's a key factor in people's wealth, is buying and selling a home. So we want to help you make those decisions smarter.
Cool.
Smart moves made here.
There we go.
Yeah, so I've got that in. Anyway, thank you. We appreciate you watching, and we hope if you've got any questions at all, then please don't hesitate to reach out.
Absolutely.
And just reach out to any of us. We'd love to help.
And if you want information on the market, check out the video series we did as well. I did 2 last night, so there's a lot of information about the market there too, in a lot of detail. But reach out about those questions on that one as too, because I like talking about that even more than Daniel likes talking about preparation and staging.
They're on the blog page on our website, and you can get to that easily. So anyway,
with that,
thank you very much, and hope you enjoy the weather. I am loving the fact that it's warm. But anyway, bye.
Bye.